So I've been teaching 9th grade humanities at a tiny little charter school here in Boston since 2007, and I really, really love my job. I love my kids, I love my colleagues, I love the history and the literature that I get to teach. Because I teach my kids about the history of colonialism. My class is called Justice and Injustice, and it's the 9th grade humanities class that they all take. And so we talk about colonialism and how it caused injustice and how people resisted that injustice and fought for more just societies throughout history. We read and we write, we analyze primary sources, and we debate and make art and talk about why things that happened 200 years ago might maybe matter to us today. So I've been doing this work I'm about to wrap up my 12th year doing that job. And when I'd been doing it for about 9 or 10 years, just sort of plugging along and hoping that I was doing some good in my classroom, always trying to get better at this ridiculously rewarding and ridiculously challenging job, and things got a little bit interesting. That's me. In the Oval Office. I was named National Teacher of the Year in 2017, which was super surreal, and I found myself in this position. This is my favorite picture of that day. This really sums it up. If you're fans of The Office, you know how Jim always just looks right at the camera, and it's just so much meaning. So I'm named National Teacher of the Year, and all of a sudden, after 9 years of just plugging away with my kids, hoping I'm not totally terrible at this thing, I have a platform, and people are interested in hearing what I have to say about education. And so I need to figure out what it is that I want to say about education, because no one's ever really asked before. I knew I wanted to talk about my kids. I knew I wanted to talk about why education matters. I knew I had a responsibility to represent my students and my school, but also to represent teachers all across the country. So I decided that I would have 4 priorities that I would talk about as I traveled around as National Teacher of the Year. So this is what I decided on. I knew I wanted to talk to people about social justice and how education can help us work towards social justice. I wanted to talk about educators as learners and the fact that as teachers, we've got to be willing to take risks and show our kids what it means to mess up, and we've got to be willing to always get better at this work. I wanted to talk about integrating the arts into what we do. Every year, my kids put on a play. It was last week. It was amazing. And I've seen how transformative that work can be for kids. And I wanted to talk about how we ensure that all of the really diverse learners in our classrooms have access to a great education, how we make sure that all of our kids are included, our students with disabilities, our language learners, that they all get a really great education. And so that's what I did.